The Manhattan Project, the secret program that created the most powerful weapon in history. The goal was simple but terrifying: create a weapon unlike anything humanity had ever seen. A single device with the power to erase an entire city in an instant and forever change the course of human history. What followed was a race against time, driven by fear, secrecy, and some of the most brilliant scientific minds ever assembled. A race whose outcome would shape the modern world in ways that are still felt today. In the middle of the 20th century, the world was locked in the deadliest conflict in human history. Nations were fighting for survival, entire cities were being destroyed, and the outcome of World War II remained uncertain. But hidden away from the public eye, a secret race was taking place, a race to unlock the power of the atom. The effort involved thousands of scientists, engineers, and workers spread across multiple highly classified locations, all working toward the same goal while only a small number of leaders understood the full scope of the mission. The goal was simple but terrifying: create a weapon unlike anything humanity had ever seen. A single device with the power to erase an entire city in an instant and forever change the course of human history. What followed was a race against time, driven by fear, secrecy, and some of the most brilliant scientific minds ever assembled. A race whose outcome would shape the modern world in ways that are still felt today. The project would become known as the Manhattan Project, one of the largest, most secretive scientific efforts in history. It brought together some of the greatest minds of the 20th century and produced a weapon powerful enough to change warfare forever. The program involved major research sites across the United States, including laboratories in Los Alamos, Oak Ridge, and Hanford, where scientists and workers developed the technology needed to create the first atomic bombs. At its peak, more than 130,000 people worked across a vast network of hidden laboratories, factories, and military sites. Yet most had no idea what they were actually helping to build. Workers were often assigned a single repetitive task and instructed never to ask questions, with each piece of the puzzle carefully isolated under strict security. This extraordinary level of secrecy meant that even people living in the purpose-built towns supporting the project rarely understood they were participating in one of the most consequential scientific undertakings in human history. Entire towns appeared almost overnight behind guarded fences, where silence became as important as science, creating an atmosphere of mystery that surrounded the project until the end of the war. Residents lived in a strange reality where thousands of people worked, lived, and raised families in places that officially seemed to barely exist, fueling rumors that something extraordinary was happening behind the walls of these hidden cities. The story began with a scientific discovery that changed how humans understood the universe. Scientists discovered that inside every atom was an enormous amount of energy, hidden within matter itself. This idea seemed almost impossible at first, a tiny particle containing enough energy to reshape the world. But decades of research gradually revealed that, under the right conditions, the nucleus of an atom could release an immense burst of power. What began as a breakthrough in theoretical physics would soon become the foundation for the most destructive weapon ever created. The idea that this energy could be released seemed impossible at first, but by the late 1930s, researchers began realizing that nuclear reactions could potentially create a weapon of unimaginable power. What had started as a pursuit of scientific knowledge was rapidly becoming a race with global consequences, as governments feared that whoever unlocked the secret first could determine the outcome of the next world war. Some physicists later recalled a growing sense of unease, realizing that every breakthrough in the laboratory also brought humanity one step closer to a weapon that had previously existed only in imagination. Behind closed doors, rumors spread through scientific circles that discoveries once celebrated as triumphs of knowledge were now being quietly classified, disappearing from public view almost as soon as they were made. At the same time, Europe was falling into chaos. Nazi Germany was expanding across the continent, and many scientists feared that Germany might develop an atomic weapon before the Allied powers. The possibility that a hostile nation could unlock the power of the atom first created a terrifying sense of urgency, turning scientific discovery into a race where the outcome could determine the fate of the entire world. Many researchers were driven by the fear that the secrets of the universe might become a weapon in the hands of a regime determined to use every advantage it could find. In 1939, physicist Albert Einstein and scientist Leo Szilard warned President Franklin D. Roosevelt that nuclear research had military possibilities and that America could not ignore the threat. The letter was driven largely by Szilard's fears that Nazi Germany might be pursuing the same discoveries, while Einstein's world-famous reputation ensured the warning would be taken seriously at the highest levels of government. Although the letter did not immediately launch the Manhattan Project, it set in motion a chain of events that would eventually lead to one of the most secretive undertakings in American history. Few could have imagined that a single signed letter would help open the door to the atomic age. This warning helped lead to the creation of a secret American effort to investigate nuclear weapons. Eventually, the United States government created the Manhattan Project, a massive program involving scientists, engineers, military leaders, and workers across multiple locations. To the outside world, it appeared as a collection of ordinary military construction projects. But behind layers of security, an entirely new scientific empire was taking shape. Entire facilities were built in remote locations, maps were altered, and strict compartmentalization ensured that almost no one could see the full picture. It was a project so secret that many Americans would not even learn of its existence until the first atomic bomb was used, making the Manhattan Project one of the most closely guarded operations ever undertaken. The project was led by the United States Army Corps of Engineers, with General Leslie Groves overseeing the operation. To direct the scientific work, the government selected physicist J. Robert Oppenheimer, a brilliant scientist who would become one of the most important figures in modern history. Under Oppenheimer's leadership, the team brought together experts from universities and research institutions across the country, creating an unprecedented collaboration between military power and scientific discovery. The Manhattan Project was not built in one location. It was spread across secret facilities throughout the United States. Scientists worked in hidden laboratories, factories, and research centers where thousands of workers participated without knowing the full purpose of what they were building. The three primary sites at Los Alamos, Oak Ridge, and Hanford each handled different parts of the process, allowing the project to move forward while keeping the complete design of the atomic bomb hidden from most of the people involved. One of the most famous locations was Los Alamos, New Mexico. Deep in the desert, scientists worked under extreme pressure to design and build the first atomic bomb. Many of them understood that they were creating something that could change the future of warfare forever. Another major site was Oak Ridge, Tennessee, where workers developed methods to separate uranium, one of the key materials needed for the bomb. The facility grew into a massive secret city, with tens of thousands of employees working around the clock. Many workers did not know exactly what their work was contributing to. Some operators spent years turning the same dials or monitoring the same instruments without ever being told the true purpose of their jobs, creating one of the most compartmentalized operations in history. Residents later described living in a place that seemed to exist off the map, where mail was censored, conversations were guarded, and armed security was an ordinary part of daily life. Even decades later, stories continue to circulate about the extraordinary lengths taken to protect the project's secrets, making Oak Ridge one of the most mysterious wartime cities ever built. At Hanford, Washington, scientists produced plutonium, another material needed for nuclear weapons. These enormous facilities demonstrated the industrial power of the United States and the scale required to create such a revolutionary weapon. The site grew into one of the largest construction projects in the world, with massive reactors built along the Columbia River and thousands of workers operating under extreme secrecy. Many of those involved never fully understood the true purpose of what they were creating, only knowing that their work was considered vital to the war effort. Hidden behind fences and guarded checkpoints, Hanford became a place where humanity learned to manufacture a force that seemed almost impossible, a substance created in a facility that would help unlock the destructive power of the atom itself. The pressure increased as World War II continued. The Allies feared that Germany might be close to developing its own atomic weapon. Scientists raced against time, knowing that whoever controlled the power of the atom could potentially control the future of warfare. Every month that passed raised the stakes, with intelligence reports, rumors, and scattered pieces of evidence fueling fears that the Nazis could be making the same breakthroughs behind closed laboratory doors. Although history would later reveal that Germany's nuclear program never came close to producing an atomic bomb, the scientists working on the Manhattan Project had no way of knowing that at the time. Many believed they were competing in a race where finishing second could mean the end of civilization as they knew it, adding a constant sense of urgency and tension that defined the project from beginning to end. The scale of the operation revealed a strange contradiction. The same ingenuity and organization that could build cities, machines, and scientific wonders had now been turned toward creating the most powerful weapon ever known. On July 16, 1945, history changed forever. In the desert of New Mexico, the Manhattan Project conducted the first successful nuclear weapons test, known as the Trinity Test. When the bomb exploded, scientists witnessed something humanity had never seen before. A massive flash of light, a powerful shockwave, and a mushroom cloud rising into the sky proved that the atomic bomb was real. In the stunned silence that followed, many of those present realized they had crossed a threshold from which the world could never return, witnessing a force that seemed almost beyond human comprehension. Some observers described the explosion as brighter than several suns, while others stood in speechless disbelief, recognizing that science had unleashed a power unlike anything seen since humanity first harnessed electricity. Only this time, its potential was measured not in progress, but in unimaginable destruction. Robert Oppenheimer later recalled words from ancient Hindu scripture, saying that he thought of the line, "Now I am become death, the destroyer of worlds." The moment represented both scientific achievement and a terrifying new reality. The quote became forever tied to the first atomic explosion, adding a haunting sense of mythology to the event, as if the scientists had not only unlocked a force of nature but had crossed into a realm once reserved for legends and gods. Shortly afterward, the United States used atomic bombs against Japan. On August 6, 1945, an atomic bomb was dropped on Hiroshima. 3 days later, another bomb was dropped on Nagasaki. The world witnessed the terrifying reality of a weapon that had only existed in theory months earlier, as entire cities were suddenly caught in a force unlike anything in human history. For many people around the world, the news was almost impossible to comprehend. A single aircraft carrying a single bomb had changed the meaning of warfare forever. The events marked the beginning of the atomic age, a new era where humanity possessed the power to reshape the planet itself. The destruction was enormous. Entire areas were devastated, and tens of thousands of people were killed. The bombings remain among the most debated events in modern history, with discussions continuing over military necessity, human cost, and the consequences of nuclear weapons. The two bombs, known as atomic bombings of Hiroshima and Nagasaki, introduced the world to the reality of nuclear warfare and marked the first, and so far only, use of nuclear weapons in armed conflict. Japan surrendered shortly after, bringing World War II to an end. But the Manhattan Project created a new era, the atomic age. The world had entered a time where a single weapon could possess the destructive power of an entire army, forever changing the balance of global power. Nations now faced a terrifying new reality. The future of civilization could depend on who controlled the secrets of the atom. The same discovery that revealed the hidden energy inside matter also opened the door to a new age of scientific ambition, fear, and competition, where humanity stood at the edge of both incredible progress and unimaginable danger. For the first time in history, mankind had created a force powerful enough to threaten the very world it lived on. The world had entered a period where nations possessed the ability to destroy cities in an instant. The balance of global power changed forever. Nuclear weapons became central to international politics, especially during the Cold War between the United States and the Soviet Union. For decades, the world existed under the shadow of a terrifying possibility, that a conflict between superpowers could escalate into a nuclear exchange capable of ending civilization as people knew it. This era became known as a time of uneasy silence, where peace was maintained not by trust, but by the fear of what would happen if either side pushed too far. The atomic bomb had transformed warfare from a battle between armies into a struggle where the fate of millions could rest on a single decision made in a hidden command room. As humanity entered this new age, the greatest weapon ever created became both a symbol of power and a warning of the consequences of unchecked ambition. The Manhattan Project also changed science and technology. The research behind nuclear weapons contributed to advancements in physics, medicine, and energy. But it also created a permanent question that humanity continues to face. Just because we can create something powerful, does that mean we should? The shadow of the first atomic explosion still hangs over civilization as a reminder that every great discovery carries a responsibility, because the same hands that unlock the secrets of the universe may also possess the power to destroy what they have built. In the end, the greatest test of humanity may not be whether we can control the forces of nature, but whether we have the wisdom and restraint to control ourselves. The scientists of the Manhattan Project achieved one of the greatest technological accomplishments in history, but they also opened the door to one of the greatest dangers humanity has ever known. The project demonstrated that nuclear energy could be harnessed on an unprecedented scale, leading not only to atomic weapons but also to later developments in nuclear power, medical treatments, and scientific research. The story of the Manhattan Project is not only about a weapon. It is about ambition, fear, genius, secrecy, and the moment when humanity discovered that it had the power to reshape the world or destroy it. Behind the laboratories, hidden facilities, and classified documents was a deeper story about the limits of human knowledge and the responsibility that comes with unlocking nature's most powerful secrets. The scientists who split the atom believed they were opening a new frontier of discovery, yet they also created a force that would forever challenge humanity's understanding of morality, survival, and power. The legacy of the Manhattan Project remains a haunting reminder that the greatest breakthroughs in history can carry both the promise of a better future and the shadow of unimaginable consequences. A secret project built in the shadows became the force that ended one war, started a new era, and changed the future of civilization forever. What began as a desperate race between scientists and nations had unleashed a power that humanity had only dreamed of, one capable of both unimaginable destruction and groundbreaking discovery. The Manhattan Project was no longer just a wartime operation. It was the moment when humanity unlocked the hidden force within the atom and stepped into an age where the greatest achievements of science and the greatest threats to our survival would exist side by side. The flash over the desert, the roar of the first atomic explosion, and the silence that followed marked a turning point unlike any other in history. From that moment forward, the world would never again look at science, power, or the future in the same way. If you enjoyed this journey into the secrets, science, and history behind the Manhattan Project, don't forget to like, subscribe, and join us for more stories about the discoveries, conflicts, and events that changed the course of human history. From the scientists who unlocked the power of the atom to the decisions that shaped the modern world, we continue exploring the moments when humanity reached new heights and faced new challenges. Like and subscribe for more untold history, forgotten stories, and the events that forever changed our world.